The US is a powder keg right now. Social media's buzzing with civil war talk. Trump's claiming he's the fix, but everything's just getting hotter. Tariffs, deportations, budget fights. It's all splitting the country down the middle. Are we staring at real chaos or just a lot of hype? Let's cut through it. Facts, forecasts, and where Trump fits in. Stick around. This one's loaded. The divide's getting real? Picture this. America's basically split into two teams that don't even speak the same language anymore. Surveys, like the ones from Gallup, keep showing most people think the country's more divided than it's ever been. On one side, you've got red states like Texas and Florida totally on board with Trump's playbook, slamming China with tariffs, cracking down hard on immigration, betting big on coal. Then you've got blue states, think California, New York, digging in their heels, hauling the White House to court over it. Take Texas, for example. Just a few weeks back, they pushed back against federal migrant rules, basically saying, we're doing it our way. That's not just a spat, that's a crack starting to widen. Now, toss in the gun factor, and it gets heavier. There's something like 400 million firearms floating around out there. Yeah, you heard that right. And whenever things get shaky, sales jump. Look at early 2025. Political tensions up, and gun shops are reporting more traffic again. Add to that the protests. After ICE started ramping up deportation raids this year, cities like LA, Chicago, even Miami lit up with marches. People were out there waving signs, yelling about Trump's policies, some saying no more raids, others just fed up. You can feel it. This isn't just online chatter anymore. It's spilling into the real world. Trump's been loud about it too. He's out there saying he's handing America back to its people. You can catch that vibe in his latest speeches. But here's the catch. Millions who didn't vote for him aren't buying it. They don't see themselves in that America he's talking about. Step back for a second. If you're leading a country and aiming for some grand comeback, shouldn't you be pulling everyone together, not just your cheering section? Right now, it's looking more like he's doubling down on his base and leaving the rest out in the cold. For a man in charge, that's not exactly the smoothest strategy when the nation's already wound tight. So, where's this split headed? If red and blue states keep drifting apart, you might see states flat out ignoring federal rules. Texas could ramp up its own border patrols. They've already got troops deployed there. California might double down on sanctuary laws, locking horns with DC. The gun surge means small flare-ups could turn ugly fast if tensions boil over. Think armed standoffs like we've seen before. Protests are already a pressure valve, but if they grow, they could clog cities, disrupt supply chains, even spark clashes. The longer Trump plays to one side, the harder it gets to stitch this back together. You're looking at a nation that's less united and more a loose collection of rivals. A different approach could help. Trump could call a summit with governors from both sides, like Obama did in 2014 on immigration, to hash out a shared plan and cool tempers before lawsuits pile higher. Trump's moves stirring the pot? So, what's driving this mess? A lot of it ties back to Trump's big moves. Start with those tariffs on China. They hit 104% as of April 9th, straight from Reuters. That's not a small tweak, that's a sledgehammer. Stuff coming in from China, like electronics or clothes, is getting pricier fast, and companies like Walmart or Apple, their stocks are wobbling. Supporters say it's about protecting American jobs, shielding the economy, but flip the coin, who's really paying for it? Everyday people at the checkout, not Beijing. The math doesn't lie. Tariff cash flows in, but it's hitting US wallets hardest. Then there's immigration. ICE has been on a tear since January, rounding up thousands in these high-profile raids. You've seen the fallout. Protests popping off everywhere. San Francisco, Miami, New York, crowds with megaphones, some getting hauled off by cops, shouting about rights and families torn apart. Trump frames it as keeping America safe, locking down the borders. Critics fire back that it's heavy-handed, stomping on basic decency. Here's the deal. Immigration's a messy issue, no question. But blasting through it with mass sweeps? That's like trying to fix a leaky pipe with a blowtorch. It just makes a bigger mess. Energy's another hotspot. Trump's all in on coal. He's been pushing it hard, and the EIA says production's climbing. Coal towns are getting a boost, jobs are coming back, and that's real for those communities. But then you've got the flip side, environmentalists losing it. Kids marching in New York with signs like, "Stop killing our planet." Earlier this year, thousands hit the streets, furious about the rollback on green rules. Coal's a quick win, sure, but brushing off climate worries, that's kicking a problem down the road. And not a short road either. Zoom out and it's clear. Every one of these calls is widening the rift. Tariffs, raids, coal. They're not just policies, they're lightning rods. Trump could play it safer, try to find some middle ground. Instead, he's charging full speed ahead. bold? Absolutely. But when the country's this on edge, bold starts looking a lot like reckless. These moves could shake things up big time. Tariffs might push prices up enough to spark inflation. Think 4% by year end, per some economic forecasts, hitting spending, and maybe even jobs if businesses cut back. Instead, easing tariffs to 50% on consumer goods like clothes, as tried in 2019, could still pressure China while sparing shoppers' wallets. Deportations could turn protests into a full-on movement. We've seen crowds shut down highways before, like after George Floyd in 2020. Focusing raids on criminal migrants, like the Secure Communities program did, could tighten borders with less backlash. Coal's trickier. It's jobs now, but long-term, you're looking at dirtier air and worse storms, like the $60 billion hit from hurricanes last year. Pairing coal with subsidies for cleaner gas, as done in the 2000s, could keep jobs and calm green critics. Each step's like tossing another match on dry grass. It might smolder or it could catch fast. Budget battles and summer stakes. Now let's talk summer. That's when things could really heat up. Congress is gearing up to hammer out the next budget, and it's already shaping up to be a slugfest. Trump and the Republicans are eyeing cuts to social stuff, healthcare, welfare programs, either to keep the budget tight or free up cash for tax breaks and other priorities. Democrats? They're not having it. They've flat out said they'll block it. Rewind to 2019, the government shut down for 35 days over a wall fight, and that was with less bad blood than now. Today, with protests already in the streets and trust in Washington tanking, this could tip things over the edge. Analysts, think Politico, are sounding the alarm about a crisis brewing by summer. Trust in the government's at rock bottom. Surveys like Pew's peg it at about 1 in 5 Americans who still believe in it. That's grim. Flip over to X, and it's a doom scroll. Posts about total chaos or America's done, pulling millions of views. Sure, it's raw emotion, not a crystal ball, but it paints a picture. People are exhausted, fed up, ready to snap. Here's where it gets tricky. Civil war gets thrown around, but let's be real, that's a stretch. No one's rolling tanks down Main Street. Still, trouble's not off the table. If this budget thing stalls out, picture it. More protests clogging up cities, states like Texas or California thumbing their noses at DC, maybe even some legal standoffs. Trump could ease off the gas, try to cool things down. But nah, he's flooring it. For a man who says he wants a strong America, that's a head scratcher. Why keep stoking a fire that's already blazing? If this budget fight drags on, it's not just a DC headache. It could hit the ground hard. A shutdown means federal workers go unpaid, markets freak out, and everyday stuff like national parks or food inspections grind to a halt. Last time cost $5 billion. Protests could swell, especially if cuts to healthcare or welfare land. Think crowds like we saw in 2011 Occupy, but angrier. States going rogue could mess with trade or law enforcement. Texas might beef up its border game. California could push back with taxes. A two-party budget commission, like Simpson-Bowles in 2010, could split the difference on cuts and taxes, avoiding a shutdown and calming markets. It's not war, but it's chaos that could paralyze the country for weeks and leave scars that don't heal quick. Real danger or overblown hype? So, where's this all headed? The signs aren't great. Guns everywhere, protests picking up steam, states butting heads with Washington. Texas and Florida keep challenging federal rules. Immigration? You name it. California's drafting its own playbook, ready to go rogue if it has to. Summer might not bring a full-on war, but a cold conflict? That's not hard to imagine. A messy standoff where everyone's out for themselves. It's not some wild sci-fi plot, it's a pattern. Just check the courts. States are suing the feds left and right these days. Here's the flip side. America's been through worse and come out swinging. The 1860s had an actual civil war. The 1960s had riots tearing up cities. 2020 had its own chaos after George Floyd. The US is built tough. Social media is screaming, game over, and news channels love the drama. Clicks pay the bills, right? But step back. This isn't the apocalypse, it's a rough stretch. The country can pull through, but it needs someone to start patching things up, not ripping them further apart. Trump's still playing to his crowd, tuning out the other half. If your goal's a united, great America, that's not the sharpest way to go. Best guess? Things calm down after summer if they sort out the budget mess. But don't expect a picnic. This divide's not vanishing anytime soon. Without some real give and take, it's just simmering, waiting for the next spark. If this keeps rolling unchecked, the stakes climb. More guns and protests mean any spark, a bad cop move, a viral outrage, could light up something nasty. like armed standoffs in hot zones. 2020 showed us that risk. States going their own way might choke national systems. Think supply chains stalling if Texas blocks roads or California hoards resources. Long term, you're risking a US that's less a powerhouse and more a fractured mess, losing clout globally as China or Europe step up. A national unity campaign, like post-9/11 efforts, could rebuild trust with shared goals, pulling states and people back to the table. It's not doom yet, but the deeper this rift gets, the tougher it is to climb out. And the world's watching. Conclusion and wrap up. Here's the rundown. The split in the US is real, and it's uglier than it's been in a while. Trump's going all in on his agenda. Tariffs, raids, coal. But he's leaving half the country in the dust, and that's feeding the chaos. Civil war? Probably not, but don't sleep on this summer. Protests, budget showdowns, states going their own way could make it a mess. America's got the grit to get through, no doubt, but it's costing stability big time. Someone's got to start dousing this fire instead of tossing more logs on it. And Trump's not showing signs of grabbing the hose. What do you make of it? Is this the end of the road for stability, or just a bump we'll get past? Hit the comments with your take. Subscribe, smack that like button, and ring the bell. You won't want to miss what's coming. It's only getting hotter from here. Catch you next time.